Hi, everyone. I'm Vicky, and welcome to a very special conversation that I'm going to have today with Coach Andre. And we're going to touch on the topic of self-defense because I think that self-defense is so incredibly important for all of us. Just as a quick background, about a month ago, I was walking in a park about 7:30 in the evening. It was dark out, but it wasn't late in a very safe town. And I was robbed and physically attacked as part of the robbery. And that experience made me realize just how important self-defense is for all of us. And so I want to, with this conversation, shine a light on what is self-defense, why people should consider taking self-defense. And even if you don't take the classes, what are some of the things that you can do to help protect yourself should, God forbid, something happen? So I'm going to turn it over to you, Andre. I would love for you to introduce yourself, tell us a little bit about yourself, and then we can get into some of the questions that I have around self-defense that I think people would find extremely useful. So over to you.
Thank you. Thank you for having me. I appreciate it. So again, my name is Andre Tasado. I am the owner and instructor of Defense Fit. It's a small self-defense company that me and my wife created back in 2011. I've been doing martial arts or combat sports put together for over 20 years. And after training and helping with instructors and teaching, I decided to just kind of, or do the same thing, kind of give it back. I started doing small little seminars and teaching and helping my instructors. And I settled myself in New Jersey pretty well. And now I have a small studio in Berkeley Heights, 425 Springfield, Berkeley Heights. And my goal is to empower people, teach them how to defend themselves. You have the right to protect yourself. You have the right to protect your family. Nobody has the right to put their hands on you whatsoever. So my goal is to empower people both physically and mentally to say, hey, you know what? If harm comes your way, repay the favor and give it back to whoever feels they can do it to you. So that's pretty much the goal. And we cover a little different topics as you saw in class. We cover basic striking, kickboxing, a little bit of wrestling, grappling. We haven't done grappling yet. We even cover weapons. And, one of the things that I pride myself in is talking about the legality, because that's a big thing when it comes to self-defense. Every state, self-defense law in general, it's pretty generic about all 50 states, but each state's a little bit different. In New Jersey, there's a lot more laws and it's a little bit more conservative, like Texas. Texas is a little different. So, you need to be aware that in Texas, there's a lot of things you could do in New Jersey that you cannot. So I pride myself in teaching that aspect of it, because as much as you need to know how to protect yourself and you're willing to harm somebody, because at the end of the day, you mentioned what is self-defense. Self-defense is to protect or use force, reasonable force, to protect myself and my loved ones from bodily harm and whatsoever. And at the end of the day, you need to know what is reasonable force. What can I do? And that's very important.
That's great. Can I ask you, what is the difference between martial arts and self-defense?
So martial arts considered more like a traditional art. We think karate, taekwondo. We'll even say Brazilian jiu-jitsu. It's a very traditional martial art, has a set curriculum, and you learn slowly. It's not a bad thing, but you learn very slowly because the curriculum is set a specific way and has been passed down through teachers, masters, instructors throughout the years. Self-defense is to teach you the fundamental basics of learning how to defend yourself. Pretty much, you're learning how to fight, because that's what self-defense is when you look at it. It's learning how to fight, how to punch, how to kick, how to throw knees, elbows, how to be almost like an MMA fighter from without training to be an MMA fighter, so to speak. Covering the round it. Traditional martial arts takes a little longer because it's set, we'll say, forms and techniques. Martial arts is very technique driven. Self-defense should not. Big difference. That's a big difference.
Okay. I love that. One of the things that really struck me in our very first conversation is when I reached out to you just about taking self-defense courses. What you said to me is that it's not even like in self-defense what you learn how to do physically, right? The striking and the kicking and like the techniques, the physical techniques of it, right? What you talked to me about was how self-defense actually teaches your mind and shifts your mind to know how to react in that moment. Because the way that we will respond in a studio or when you're studying martial arts versus when you're in that very moment are probably two very different things. And we even talked about this scenario of having me. Actually, a friend of mine said this to me. She said, Vicky, I have an alarm with me, but I'm not sure I would know to use it or how to use it in that moment, or mace, right? So like, I think I'd love for us to talk a little bit about how self-defense actually helps shift you mentally. And then for us to talk about if you are in the moment, how can self-defense actually, like taking self-defense courses, help you? And the one example I will give you is that when I was in your studio, the very first lesson, and you put the boxing gloves on me and you gave me the bob to hit, I couldn't imagine myself striking another human being. I have to be honest, I was like, when did I hit this thing, even though it's like an inanimate object? And there was something about like when I took that very first punch, right? And then the second, there was an interesting thing that happened to me mentally where I really shifted into this like very empowered mental state, and where I was like, wait a minute, I can fight back. Like it is in me to do this, right? Not that, I'm trying to promote violence or anything, but I'm just saying, right? Like that mental state and shifting you into self-defense, into empowerment. I'm not a victim mentality, right? And that's like one of the things that you and I were laughing about the first time we spoke when I reached out to you. And I said, yeah, my perpetrators threw me to the ground and I'm this like small person. And I jumped up and I started chasing them, right? And thank God, like I wasn't in the victim mentality at that moment. But I think it's so common for so many of us to freeze in the moment and to kind of get into like that mode of self-pity and fear, right? Like fear really overtakes us, and to feel the empowerment and to feel like, no, I can do something in that moment, I think is incredibly powerful. So talk to me a little bit about like that mental state and how self-defense helps you get there.
Self-defense, or wherever you go to teach, the goal should be, when it comes from the mental aspect, is going from prey to predator. So at that moment, that unfortunate incident that you had, whoever the people were, they were the predators and they saw you as a prey. The minute you somehow, again, like you say, you don't even know what happened. You decided it was not acceptable. You turned that around and you were like, I am not the prey. I'm the predator. They're going to be the prey. And at the end of the day, even though it was an unfortunate incident, but technically they were not caught. So just by just by you not accepting what was going on, even though you had no training, wherever you had, some sort of no skills whatsoever, you did not accept that. And self-defense, for those that can do what you did, which was literally go from prey to predator in that very second, self-defense helps them turn that killer instinct, what they call it, the killer instinct, on. And it comes from building skills, building confidence. You hitting Bob, feeling good, and the very moment, you realize like, yes, I can do this. I was able to chase the guys away without physical, but I realized now that I could have done that and fought back. So by doing that, it felt good. And I'm like, I guess I could do that. I could defend myself. I could hit somebody if somebody hits me. And, most people may not have developed what you just did in that split second. It may take months, maybe years, but to realize like, yes, I'm confident. I will defend myself. So training is empowering mentally, saying, I have the skills, I have the will, I have the power to defend myself, and I will. And then having the skills just backs up. A lot of the people, believe it or not, a lot of predators can fight themselves out of a paper bag, but they have that predator mentality. So they're thinking, okay, that person is a prey. Even if I could take. So even though they may not have skills, they have the predator mentality. So that's the reason they attack. And I always find that women are the best, what I call reverse predators. In other words, women are like a ninja. They get turned it on because, unfortunately, most women that get attacked are going to be attacked by a man. And they've made some sort of assumption that you weren't going to put up a fight. And now you turn it around like, whoa, what happened? This was she's supposed to fight back. She's not supposed to hit me. She's not supposed to chase me down the street. She's not supposed to do this. So that shock effect to the predator by You fighting back puts them out of defensive mode, and they're like, okay, this is not what I was expecting. And that's what everybody should be able to do. And it doesn't mean that you're going to win the fight or the outcome. What you are looking to do is not accept that type of treatment, not accept yourself as a prey, and let that person know that if he thought that you were a prey, he was mistaken, and if he were decides to do it again, he's even going to get it worse.
Can I ask you, so another thing that was really enlightening is we talked about the circumstances under which everything happened, and you gave me some like really great tips on how not to come across as prey, right? And so there were, I'm going to call them, unaware mistakes that I made when I was out. So let's talk about the circumstances, right? It's 7:30, so it's not late, but it is dark, right? I am in the park. There are some people, not a ton of people. I'm walking with a bag, a small bag, across my shoulder, right? Crossbody bag. And I had my headphones in.
Yeah, that's
both, right? So I was listening to music and I'm like really enjoying the lights and the fresh air, and I'm just kind of like walking to the music. So talk about what are some of the things I could have done or a person can do differently to help not come across as an easy target in a situation.
Well, a couple of things. Obviously, what do you call restricting your sound, not being able to hear if anybody's walking behind you. That right off the bat, that's one of your senses that as a being awareness. So if you think about we have a smell, we have hearing, we got vision, we got touch, taste. When it comes to we'll say self-defense, your hearing and your vision are your primary ones. Because you're looking to see if you see something, you're looking to hear if you see something. Obviously, I'm assuming they came from behind.
Yeah, they attacked me from behind.
So they might have been ringing a bell for all you know, announcing themselves. And because you had the headset, you did not hear, you didn't hear them. So just by maybe either keeping a low volume, or maybe we talked about this, just having one earpiece on, one earpiece off. Obviously, keep the one that your best ear, keep it off. And, so that gives you some adaptation to hearing your surroundings. As you're walking or jogging, you can just look around to see if you see. One thing I tell people, even though you have to, you don't have to, but if I'm jogging, just to be aware, how sometimes you jog, you turn around, you start jogging backwards, and you turn back, just to work your legs a little bit, just by doing that. And again, it seems like you're just running, but realistically, what you're doing is checking your back for a second, looking around, and then keep running. It's very, nonchalant. People don't think about it, but maybe that would have bought you. You might have seen the guys a couple of feet away, a couple of yards away. I'm like, hey, there's two guys here, so I need to change my direction, where I'm going. Another thing you could carry, obviously, is a flashlight. Sometimes, flashing a line of somebody. And again, there is defensive ways to use a flashlight. That's something that, that's another tool to carry if it need be. They sell what is called the mace, so the pepper spray. It's called a jogger strap, something that you pretty much just like a strap you put on your hand, and you have a pepper spray here. And it almost looks like you were walking around with a little cylinder. And you go around with it. And again, it's something that you can use, spray. There's different ways about it. But your awareness of your surroundings, knowing where you're at, the time of day you're at, and, being aware of the sections, the corners, the dark areas. And I'm saying you did this, but like you said earlier, you were in a good neighborhood, and nothing really happens. And that idea, that mentality that you assume that you're in a good neighborhood and nothing happens, is exactly where things happen. Because you think about it, criminals don't go into the criminal cities and create crime because much competition. Everybody's there. They go to where people are not expected, where people literally will live with their doors open. And, I have friends in Melbourne. I have friends in Clark and even in Springfield. And at night, sometimes when I leave the gym, I'll drive by in the summer, and people literally have the door right open. And I know it's a good area, but why are you doing that? You're literally telling them, hey, walk into my house.
Yeah. No, so, so true. So true. And that's exactly how it happens. And, like our police is so good. They'll always say, like, lock your car doors. This is how the cars get stolen. Lock your car, right? Like, yeah. So I think that we make a lot of assumptions. The other thing that I've also started to do is if it's in the evening and I don't go anywhere in the evening, without my puppy, who looks like a menacing little doggy. And unless where I'm alone, like I'll go where there are cars, lights, like, I'm really like, I definitely am very afraid right now, to be alone. But the thing that I've noticed myself doing is I now watch for shadows. Like I'm
Absolutely.
walking and I'm always like, oh, is there another shadow behind me? Because the shadow would signal to me that there's someone around me. And it's funny that you said about turning around. That's exactly what I've started to do is when I'm walking, I'm always now doing almost like a 360, definitely like 90, 180 turns. And
Absolutely.
was like a 360 and I'm watching for shadows in the evenings, like, oh my God, do I see another shadow behind me? And none of that, and there was none of that awareness. The awareness just was not there because again, I had a false sense of security that I'm in this like very safe neighborhood and that nothing ever happens here, right? So let's talk a little bit about things like mace, things like alarms, right? What are some tips that you can give us in terms of if, like, you talked about this little band that you can put on, like, where can we buy those things? But then more importantly, like, let's pretend I do buy mace. Okay, so now what? I have mace, I have an alarm. Now what? Something happened. What do I do? Like, what's the best trick for, do I carry it on my keychain? Do I have 5 of them, one in every pocket? Like, like some practical tools on what we could do with these things to help defend ourselves in that moment.
So you got to look at it. Whatever you decide to carry, mace, an alarm, you know, for we'll say generic in general, so like a firearm, a knife, anything, any sort of self-defense weapon or weapon for self-defense, so to speak. And you have to make sure you train. It's not just buying it and putting it in your pocket, because I'm sure that's what you look kind of want to talk about. It's using it. Again, it's a temporary weapon for you to escape, because at the end of the day, self-defense is about defending yourself and escaping. You're not trying to pick a fight. It's not a match or a combat sport. It's defending yourself. But yeah, and you always want to get something that you carry on a daily basis, just like your keys. Your keys are something that you pick up and you put down. Having pepper spray there, having an alarm there. I'm not too much of a fan of the pepper spray in the keychain unless you were able to detach it, because you think about it. If you're in your car, God forbid, you're in your car and somebody happens to approach you, you're trying to get your pepper spray in the keychain, you're not going to be able to do it because the keys are in it, unless you have a separate. But you want to just carry something that it becomes an everyday thing. Be it like, again, 3 things that most of us carry: keys, wallet, phone. We all carry that.
Yeah.
When I come out of my house and we have a little basket. I put my keys, my wallet, my phone, and any sort of, not to go into detail, any sort of self-defense weapons that I may carry with me. So that's my everyday carry. We call it the everyday carry. That's what I carry on a daily basis, no matter where I go. Where doesn't matter. So you need to decide what is it you want to carry that's practical for you, and make it just an everyday thing. You need to have it on you. If you're gonna walk anywhere, like even at the park, just have it handy. Don't have it in. A lot of people will buy alarms, mace, even people buy firearms. Mostly women, and they'll keep it in the pocketbook for the big bag pocketbook. And then you're trying to dig for that. That is not a practical place to have it. You have a practical self-defense tool, but it's not at a practical place for you to grab it. So you need to have something that works. Pepper spray, mace, kind of the same thing. Flashlight, those are good to have. The body alarms are good to have. Just keep in mind what they're for. Like a body alarm is just to create noise, get awareness, hey, something's happening over here. My problem with the alarms is it's not a bad thing. However, though, the alarm is most people buy the alarm to attract attention to them because they've been attacked, but they're relying on somebody to help them. And if you look at TV, how many times have you seen women getting attacked pure daylight, and people will just literally go around and they don't want to get involved, or they just pick up the phone and videotape a woman getting attacked by men or anything? Nobody decides to jump. Nobody wants to get involved because they're like, well, I don't want to get involved. That's not my problem. Or I don't know what to do. I don't know how to help them. And maybe you may get somebody that may call 911. Maybe. But again, assuming that somebody's going to help you, you're putting yourself, again, you're relying on I guess, goodwill, human goodwill. And it's just, nowadays, you're just not going to see that. It's just not going to happen. You should be your own bodyguard. This is a very common terminology is used, and it's just learn to be your own bodyguard. Learn how to protect yourself. Mace or pepper spray is a good tool to have. Again, you need to train with it. All that's buying you 2 things. You sprain the person. Granted, you're able to use it correctly. You spray the person because you're looking to escape. Hopefully, they're distracted. You run away, or spray them so you get fight, hit them, do something to make sure they don't chase you and then escape. Again, it's a tool that you need to learn how to use. They sell them on. But I've done pepper spray or seminars, and I give them both a little. It's called. It's a same capsule, same thing, but one is water. The other one is the actual pepper spray. The water one is for you to train, learn how to deploy. Where are you carrying? It's in my keychain. Okay, the keychain. Boom, press on it, practice. You get about a couple of 20, 25 presses, and you're just getting comfortable at just using that, grabbing it and pressing it, grabbing it, pressing it, grabbing and pressing it. You have to have your skills. It doesn't matter the tool that you have to practice with it. Buying tools and not practice with them, it's like I want to be a chef, and but I don't own any knives, and I'm going to use videos to learn, but I don't want to cut. You know what? It's you have to put all the components.
Yeah, no, that totally makes sense. And I think that's a really great point, because I think so many people do have mace, but then what a lot of people have said to me is, I don't know if I would have known, I don't know if I would have even used it in the moment, right?
That's common.
Shock. And so I really love the idea that even if you don't take self-defense courses, just at least practice how you would use it, like in your free time, and would you recommend that people have maybe like a few of them, like maybe some in your, like one in your coat pocket, one on your keychain, one in your purse? Like, I don't know, like what do you recommend?
No, absolutely. Like myself, for my wife, she's got one in her keychain, and there's also one in the car.
Oh, in the car too. Okay.
Exactly.
Okay.
Because like I mentioned earlier, if you have it on the keychain, the mace is going to be attached to your key, which is going to be in the car. You're not going to do it pull it out, especially if the car's on. So you need to have access to a different one, type of thing. So you have to have access to that. That being aware, you have to be aware, obviously, and again, this is getting a little more technical. Make sure you don't leave there, all year round, especially in the winter. That it may not work well because it freezes. In the summer, it could explode. So there are things like that you need to kind of be aware of. But yes, you should have them. Keep them available. One on you, especially like I said, it becomes an everyday carry, and then you should have one in your vehicle. God forbid that you're in your car and you are attacked, you were able to reach for it, and you can have it somewhere where it's a matter of extending your hand and grabbing. If you gotta dig through your glove compartment or your center console trying to figure out what it is, that's again sound practice. It has to be accessible to you, where you in an instant, reach for it right off the bat. You react, you reach for it right away because you know exactly what it is. It's not like, give me a second, let me look for my mace.
Exactly. That's exactly the problem. Now, let me ask you something. So let's pretend I'm somebody who is like, okay, I'm going to go and take self-defense courses, right? Give me like a high level view into how long do you think a person should take, or how many classes do you think they should take? I think that there is a misconception that you can take one class and you have the skills. So is it 3 classes? Is it 30 classes? Is it 3 months? Like, at what point do you get to a place where you're physically and mentally in a place, and you don't have and I'm not talking about expert, but somebody who is kind of like me, right? Like in that situation and knows how to react and respond. So like, how much investment should you make into self-defense, right? Of your time. Because time is the hardest thing for us to find out, right? But the one thing I will say is that going from 0 classes to even like the 1 class I took, I'm already in a different place. If not maybe physically, right? Like you were teaching us the tricks on like what to do and how do you escape your arm, right? At least like even mentally, I'm already like in a different place of like, I can strike back, I can fight back. Like this is how I would do it. The technique of using your knees and legs and arms, right? What is at your disposal? Just like you said, you're in your own best body defense. So like, talk to us a little bit about like, what should a person try to invest of themselves into at least getting to a place where they can do something, right?
So the universe, man, so it's always going to be, it depends.
Okay. Why not? I get it. Yeah.
It depends. Some people will develop mentally quickly, like yourself. You are mentally, you already know that you're going to put up a fight from this point forward in your life. Nobody's ever going to, do that to you. Your sense of awareness is a little bit better. You're willing to fight. Now that you're like, yes, I can fight. Doesn't matter if I lose. I'm going to put up a fight. I'm going to put up a fight. So you already kind of, again, you already have that step. So now it's a matter of developing the skills. As far as skills goes, it's going to depend on, again, what are you looking to invest into it? How important is this to you? How much time are you going to invest into it? Like anything else, like, again, if you're the job, you start a job, how much you put into that job, how quickly you're going to kind of learn it, get good at it, become an expert on it, and go up the ladder in the workplace. Self-defense is no different. I mean, you think about it. Why do we buy insurance? Our insurance. We're not looking to get into an accident, but I want to have it in case I need it. Why do we get health insurance? I don't looking to get sick, but I want to have it in case I need it. So just having that tool set in your pocket and making sure it's always accessible, because again, you can learn it. Let's just say, you're a prodigy where in 3 months, you just picked up so well that, like, oh my God, like this person is just exceptional. Well, however, though, you got that recognition, now you're at a different level, but yet you don't continue. You just wasted 3 months of time, money, whatever the case is. So it's an ongoing process. And I would say how much you look into to put into it. Where you live, it's going to dictate to what you learn. Obviously, here in the States, even in New Jersey, how to defend against, we'll say, a physical attack, maybe a little different or a little bit less interest to maybe somewhere in, we'll say, Texas, where you're more concerned about defending against somebody with a gun.
That's
that type of thing.
Yeah, that's a really good.
Same thing in England, for example. In England, guns are banned. They don't carry, but now they have an increase of knife attacks. So they may not even concern themselves about learning with guns. They want to learn how to defend themselves against a knife attack. So depending where you're at, especially if you're a person that travels throughout the world, you may need to learn how to defend yourself out of everything. So again, it depends on what are your goals? What are you looking to get out of it? And how long are you looking to continue with it? Even if you look at classes, are you going to continue practicing? It's an ongoing process. Self-defense is a survival skills. Just like we learn how to become independent and how to cook, how to do our laundry, how to do dishes. These are all skill sets that we should all progress. Learning how to first aid, and we talked about, again, first aid and CPR. Learning how to give CPR, learning how to control bleeding in case somebody has some sort of injury. These are all skill sets, survival skill sets. If you think going back, say the 18th and 19th century, we had more trade skills than we do now. We rely so much on technology, and we rely so much on somebody else to help us on everything, and we really don't make the effort to learn it ourselves. And like you said, it's not about being an expert. It's just having an understanding. I can cook. I don't consider myself a chef, but I could cook. I know enough that I'll never starve in my life. I'll never starve. So I have that skill set. Self-defense, same thing. You don't need to be a prize fighter. You don't need to be an MMA fighter. You don't need to be an expert. You just need to be good at it, and you need to be able to maintain that skill.
Yeah, no, I love that. I love that. The one thing I will say, and we'll wrap up this discussion, is I actually chose to bring my daughters to your class, and they're going to continue to come. And there are two things that I want to point out. One is, it was amazing to watch my 10-year-old, like just a shy and just, I don't know, just like, if you can imagine a child that is just like won't harm a fly, that's my daughter. And I remember, just like me, she had the same reaction to hitting Bob, like where I was like, hey, hit it. She kind of tapped him at the beginning. We're learning, how to escape from arms. If somebody puts the arms on you, like learning that skill of like to deflect.
The arm drags.
The arm, right? And it was amazing to even watch her kind of like really get into it, and to start to also, I could see her starting to mentally shift throughout the class, towards the end of the class, where she was feeling a lot more empowered. So that's the mental thing. But the other thing that I also want to talk about is kids found it so fun. They're like, I want to go back. And like, I think it's that joy of empowerment. It's that joy of, being able to do something in the moment. It's about the joy of having the skill set, I think, is so amazingly important. And so what I would say is, for all the parents out there, and not just girls, I actually think that boys get bullied. Boys, I was thinking about like boys away in college, they go out to a bar. for no fault of their own, a fight can break out, right? Like,
Absolutely.
Wrong place. Like, I was just in the safe neighborhood, wrong place, wrong time, right? Like, it's not that they would bring it upon themselves, but a fight can break out. They can get somehow caught up in that fight. Having that skill set to defend themselves in the moment could be life-saving, right? And so I urge all the parents to please not only take the classes for yourself, but also give the gift of these skills to your kids as they go out into the world, right? And so that they know how to defend themselves. So, and they're finding it so fun. Like, my girls are loving it. They can't wait to come back. I can't wait to come back. I'm so excited about it. Yeah, go ahead.
No, I'm just saying that's the important part. I try to make it interesting. I'm trying to make it fun. We were in it. As you saw, like the rest of the class, we were all laughing. It has to be fun, because it should be fun. It should not be something that it's serious. Yes, you're doing it because, God forbid, it's a possibility your life could be on the line or your loved ones. But again, it should be fun. And my goal is to make it fun. You shouldn't go there and think that you're going to go to military class. And I think sometimes that bad, I won't say bad, but people that are promoting their school incorrectly, we'll say, or doing false advertising, sometimes makes it look like either it's, I can put my finger on you and I have this technique that you're going to fall back and collapse. And then you have those that are making it look like you're going to military school, and it shouldn't. Honestly, like I said, I'm in Berkeley Heights. However, though, if you're not close to us, if you can find a decent, believe it or not, MMA school, that's a pretty good start right there. For women, I always encourage jiu-jitsu. Jiu-jitsu is great because most of the time an attacker, it's going to, especially if it's a male, it's going to take you, grab something, throw you on the floor, and after that, he decides to stand on top of you. So understanding that position where you're on your back and you have some creep on top of you, knowing how to defend yourself from that's very important. So if anything, women can start with that. But a good MMA gym, it's a good start. There are, I don't know if there's any in Jersey. I'm not a Krav Maga instructor.
Krav Maga, that's how I started out. I was looking for Krav Maga because I was like, if I'm going to do this, I'm going with the best. And those who don't know what Krav Maga is, it's actually from Israel, and they're like hardcore. So that's how I started that journey, and that's how I found you. I was researching self-defense, Krav Maga. This is what I knew, and then that's how I found you. So,
yeah.
This is amazing. So here's what I'm going to do. In the notes below, I'm going to actually link out to your YouTube channel. I'm going to provide people your information because I was actually looking at your YouTube channel and it is amazingly informative.
Oh, thank you.
Like teaching the techniques, and like you really just go all in. Like you just give so much content on there, right? Of course, there's a benefit to being in class with the instructor who can correct you, and like you were correcting me, right? So there's absolutely benefit to that. But your YouTube channel is amazing, so rich with content. I love it. I'm going to make sure to include your website is also super informative. So I will make sure to include that. For those that are in New Jersey, please, please, please check out Defensive Fit. They're like, Andre is amazing.
Thank you.
Enough great things about you, your studio, your approach to teaching, and tailoring it to every single individual, right? You were tailoring it to me all the way down to a 10-year-old. So like that was incredible. So I'm so grateful. Any closing remarks before we go in terms of like your thoughts and final piece of advice? Like, here's the one thing I want you all to just walk away with.
Yeah. And I hope they don't take this the wrong way, but don't be naive. Do not think that the perfect world up there, because it's not. I think by now you should all know that it's not a perfect world. And again, don't go with the assumption that, if you're in a good area, that nothing can happen there. Contrary, you can't, people are going to go where most people are least concerned or least aware or even defensive about anything because they feel they're in a safe place. Your home should be a safe place. However, though, you need to make it safe. As you mentioned earlier, lock the doors, lock the windows. If you have an alarm, set the alarm. Your home is your sanctuary. It should be safe, but don't be naive and be aware that when you step out the door, for the dirtbags of the world, it's an open season. And one of the things most important is knowing how to carry yourself. Feel confident, regardless if you're in your head, you're like, oh my God, I'm so scared. Portraying confidence is key. That is very, very important. Feel confidence that, you know what? I'm leaving my house to go to work, and I'm going to make it safe to work. And when I come out of work, I'm going to make it safe to home. And anybody that decides to change that or think they're going to do otherwise, I'm not going to accept that. That's exactly what you did. You accepted that no scales, nothing. You just said, no, I'm going to make it home to my wife, to my husband and kids, and nobody's going to stop me from doing that. And here you are.
Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. All right. Well, I'm so grateful to you for your time.
Thank you.
Conversation. I'm excited about everything I'm going to learn. And I'm excited for 2023 being a year of safety, of learning, and of growth. So thank you. And I look forward to seeing you in class.
I'll see you Tuesday.
Take care.
Thank you so much.
Thank you. Okay. Bye-bye.